Now, if I were to put it to you that Pretoria is the best city in the world, you could make the argument that no, it actually isn't. Maybe Cape Town has nicer beaches or whatever, this, that, and the third. But even in your arguments, you'd still be wrong. And let me tell you why. Not only does Pretoria have incredible people, great music, the culture is amazing, but also the car that I'm in right now was manufactured in Pretoria. Hi guys, I'm Bongani. Welcome to SantefireMotoring, and today we're in the 2025 BMW X3, which is manufactured in Roslyn, Pretoria for both domestic use as well as international exports. I've been living with this car for some time now, and I think there's a lot that I love about it, but also a few things that I think, maybe we can live without. So I hope you're comfortable. This is going to be a really cool review, and if you haven't already, please do me a favor and subscribe. It gives us the opportunity to get other cool and exciting cars so that we can break down for you more frequently. So do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like and share this with your friends. Now, before we get started with this review, it is important that we thank our sponsors for today's video. We didn't get this car through our usual channels of speaking to dealers and OEM manufacturers, but what we did is we instead rented this car directly from the owner through a platform called CarShareNova. You can think of it as like an Airbnb for cars. Basically, you as the owner, like the owner of this brand new BMW X3, list it on there and then people can come and rent it out at a daily price. They do all the background checking for you. It's a very simple and easy process and would highly recommend it to anyone looking to get into a car for a short period of time. So, the car next to me is the 4th generation BMW X3. It's been given the chassis codename G45, and you can get it in 3 main specs, so to speak. You get a high-performance petrol engine, which is the top of the line, most expensive range. Then you get a mid-range plug-in hybrid, and then you get the more affordable, more conservative, and I think the more reasonable purchase, which is the 2-liter diesel option behind me. Under the engine, you get a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine producing 145 kilowatts, and the power goes through all 4 wheels, and that is transferred through an 8-speed automatic gearbox. You also get 400 Newton meters of torque. I should mention that. But before we get into the nerdy stuff, it is important to start with the stuff that captures the audience the most, which would be the exterior. You've gotten a complete and total redesign. When I first saw the press pics, I must be completely honest with you, I was a bit hesitant. I wasn't entirely sure what to think about it, but that seems to be a trend, right? BMW releases a car, we think it's ugly, you see it in the flesh, you fall in love. G80, G82, M3, M4. Sorry, there was something in my throat. Right, so let's start with the elephant in the room. Luckily, it's not as big as other BMWs that we've seen recently, but you do get a new grille. Usually the slits are either completely vertical or horizontal, but we've got an interesting combination of both vertical as well as diagonal lines in there too. You let me know how you feel about it. The first time I saw it, I thought these were entirely closed off, but they're actually not. You do get openings over here to get some air into the engine. And I should also mention that these grills are illuminated. Now, do you need illuminated grills? The honest answer is no, but umswenko comes first. So I'm so glad that BMW put that in there. I'm certain there's a target market for it. I personally wouldn't be sold by the idea of it. Another really cool thing about these grills is that this is where all your driving assistance sensors are hidden. Usually you'd find that there's a weird black puck sticking around in the lower section of the bumper. That's where all the LiDAR sensors are sort of fitted within. But what BMW have done is that they've sort of integrated it into the grille over here, which is really, really cool. You also get a really nice split design over here in the lower section of the bumper. And I like what looks like a spoiler, but actually isn't. But aesthetically, I think the front end of this looks quite lovely. Moving over to the headlights, these have been completely redesigned. How do you guys feel about BMW's current line of sort of design trends where we're moving away from the iconic halos into more angles and L shapes with the headlights? Personally, I quite like it. I think it's a bit modern. It definitely brings these new BMWs into the future. And as a matter of fact, I'm willing to argue that BMW is leading the conversation as well as driving sort of other manufacturers to sort of step up their game. They're doing quite a great job with this. You get BMW LEDs, and you notice that there's a blue stripe around here. Usually that would have been reserved for cars that have laser lights, but this does not have laser lights, but I think it still looks cool nonetheless. Moving over to the side, you get 10 spoke, very interestingly designed wheels. These are 20 inches, both front and rear, but you can also get a different kind of rim for this car. BMW makes some very interesting rims. I think my favorite one would definitely be the 666Ms that we saw on the F80 M3 and F82 M4. Moving over to the side, you get an M badge again. I'm so glad that they did this. I believe they stopped putting these on cars for some time, but now that this is back, I do appreciate it quite a lot. This is an M Sport trim car, so you do get M badges on there as well. You get a very simple side view mirror over there, nothing too crazy. And then you get your indicators on the side. What I do like is that BMW is now doing flush door handles. This is really cool. Makes the side of the car look super sleek. It gives it a nice streamlined profile. I know the new BMW M2 has these as well. Very nice touch from BMW. How do you guys feel about the black? I feel like black, it's a difficult color to keep clean, and I know it's ironic, this wasn't planned, I'm also in black, but I quite I don't think I'd go for a black color. I'd go for something a bit more easy on the eye that doesn't attract as much heat. We are in South Africa at the end of the day, and the sun here is absolutely brutal. Moving over to the side, you get BMW LED taillights. They are a two-piece design. The one side starts over at the back and then it moves over into the side. Then the other is on the tailgate itself. You get reflectors on the side over here, but then you get something that's very weird, a diffuser. If you know nothing about diffusers, basically this thing that comes down over here, they work in performance cars in conjunction with a splitter in the front, and basically they channel air under the car so that they can maximize downforce. You don't need downforce in a luxury mid-size SUV. So that's purely aesthetic. I'm not complaining. It does look good though, but it's fake news, right? Can you see tailpipes? No tailpipes whatsoever. There is a war on tailpipes. Justice for tailpipes, guys. That's actually what I'm actually standing for in 2025. You get the BMW logo. You would think that in order to open the boot, you press over here. You don't know. The button to open the boot is down here at the bottom, which brings us into the rear section over here. You get 570 liters of boot space. If you were to take down the rear seats over there, it goes up to 1,700 liters. And I think that's more than what most people would need in their day-to-day lives, to be honest with you. This is targeted at some of your smaller families. So for the road trips during the weekend, as well as the longer trips, as well as the everyday to work and back trips, I think this car is able to do that quite well. But let me show you something that's really cool that I appreciate. If you have a look at this small pattern over here, you'll notice that the diagonal lines that we saw on the front grille are extended into the back as well. And it's not just here. This is a theme that gets carried out throughout the entirety of the car. Obviously, I mean, for 1.1 million Rand, this boot is motorized. You don't have to lift that up yourself. And the one side of the car looks exactly as it does on the other side. So what I want to do is I want to take you into the vehicle so you can have a look at all the things that I think definitely make this car a bit worth more when it comes to the pricing that you can get it for. Let's have a look. Right. Now, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the interior of the new BMW X3. And I think we should start with the infotainment system, because that is going to be the most entertaining part of this interior. With that said, how do you guys feel about these really big screens? It feels like all manufacturers are doing them at this point, and you can't really get away from them. My only concern is, what will they look like in 10 or 15 years' time? Or maybe do we just live in a world where people don't keep cars that long anymore? I don't know. Only time will tell. Criticism aside though, it is quite impressive. You get a 15-inch sort of wide curved display over here, where one section is dedicated to your driver cockpit and then one section is your dedicated infotainment area. The display is crisp, it is very responsive, and I must admit that it is incredibly feature rich. You get a bunch of apps that you can get here. You also get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. With that said, all your infotainment needs are taken care of through this, but also so are your climate control needs. Now, I don't know how that makes me feel. I miss having the ability to just control cold and hot air very simply at the press of one button. But what BMW have done, which I do commend them for, is that they've given us dedicated climate control sections at the bottom of the screen, which make it really easy to interface at the end of the day. Another thing that I should mention that BMW have done very well is that they've redone their climate control system entirely. You'll notice over here at the bottom that you get now a very sleek design, and it's not only the bottom center vents, but it is also the side vents as well, which are now vertical. And you'll notice that in order to control your airflow, you have a little controller over here that lets you tilt up and down and then pan left and right. And if you have a close attention to detail, you'll notice that the pattern on this controller over here for the airflow is the same one that you saw on the grill. It's the same one that I mentioned on the boot there as well, but you also see it on the dashboard of the car. Moving over down here, you get two Type-C ports for charging your device, as well as the ability to wirelessly charge. And you also notice that BMW have continued this trend of these diagonal lines over there. You get two cup holders as standard, but also you get a bunch of ambient lighting around where your cup holders are going to be, as well as here by your door handle. And then in the center, this is where you have your teeny tiny gear selector, your engine start-stop button, you get your auto hold function as well as your parking brake, and this is how you control your infotainment system should you not wish to use the touchscreen. You do have integrated navigation, telephone, you have media controls, and then another cool thing, and listen, I'm a sucker for these really nice features, is that the volume knob over here, the thing that you use to control the volume, has the exact same pattern that you see on the grille, on the dash, here in the center console, as well as the boot. Moving over to the seats, you have these very nice and comfortable, supportive, sporty-ish kind of seats. You do get white contrast stitching, which is really nice. But I mean, for the kind of uses that you'd be using this car, which is either a daily driver as well as your weekend trips, you're going to be comfortable here. There's nothing to sort of worry or complain about. I should also mention that you also get a Harman Kardon sound system. I don't think you'll walk out of here feeling like you've been robbed when it comes to that regard. I do want to jump into the back seat so you can have a quick look at that before we wrap the video up. Right, moving over to the back seat of the BMW X3, it's business as usual. It's what you would expect from a luxury compact SUV. Basically, I'm very comfortable back here. The seats are nice and supportive. You do get a little bit of bolstering on the sides there, which is quite interesting. I would have expected it to be a bit flat, but I appreciate the fact that my lats are being hugged a little bit right now. I've got good knee room. This seat is in the position that I would have it when I'm driving, and I'm more than comfortable. I can sort of stretch my legs out there too. I've got tons of headroom, and speaking of headroom, I like the fact that BMW have given us a basically roof-wide sunroof. It's a panoramic glass sunroof that stretches all the way from the back to the front of the car. What you lose though is the ability to tilt and open it, but what you do gain is a whole lot of sunshine, and on days like these, a whole lot of heat. Luckily, just one push of the button gets the visor to close all the way through, and you block the sun, and everything's handy dandy. You also get a screen for your dual zone climate control. Pretty straightforward. It's quite intuitive and easy to use. And then you get two Type-C chargers for your phone. Now, tell me something. Do you guys know what this thing is for? I believe that if you were to spec this car with a screen, this is where the screen mount would go into, or it could just be a place for you to hang your coats. You tell me in the comment section. You do have some storage nets over here at the back, very wide cup holders here on the side, the ability to open and close your windows, but you also get a visor that you can lift and drop. Perfect if you are a huge fan of privacy, or if you just have kids and you don't want anyone peeping in. You get a nice cloth material over here. Your Harman Kardon speakers are branded, and that's pretty much it. With that said, you also get two cup holders that come out from the center seat. And dude, like I said, I really love these features. These lines that we spoke about that are on the grille and in the center console are seen here too. And because it's a family car, you also get ISOFIX points for your baby holder. And that's pretty much it for the back seat. I think we should go for a drive. So you join me inside the BMW X3, where we're gonna go for a quick drive. And I must admit, first impressions, I'm pleasantly surprised. Out of curiosity though, I mean, this car is in direct competition with cars like your Volvo XC60, your Audi Q3, for example, and the Mercedes-Benz GLC. Where would your money go if you were in the market for a mid-range, mid-sized luxury SUV? The X3 is a good competitor, but I'm sure you guys have had experiences, and I'm keen to hear about it. Do let us know in the comments section below. With that said, I'm currently in the most efficient setting, and this car has a claimed 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers, and that is from BMW themselves, which is quite impressive. I mean, it is a 2-liter diesel, and from what we've heard, and what we've seen in other BMW diesels, those are very achievable numbers. In the interior, you've got a nice, quiet, refined, luxurious driving experience that you would expect to get when getting into a car like this. But what I do appreciate is that if I press this button over here, which is the modes button, you get a wide array of different driving dynamics that you can pick from. Like I said, I'm inefficient, but there's also expressive, relax, a digital art one, which is rather interesting. You get silent, but you also get sport, which is what I've just clicked now. What happens is that every time you change between driving modes, you also get a different driver cockpit view over here as well. It's a great little way to differentiate between modes, and I quite appreciate the fact that BMW user experience designers went through the effort of giving us new displays depending on the mode that you're in. One cool feature that I like in the BMW X3 that I actually first saw in the new 1 Series is this boost pedal that they've integrated into the downshift pedal over here. Basically, what happens is that if you push this boost pedal, you get an additional 10 seconds of maximum power that the engine makes available to you, which is particularly useful if you have a quick overtake to take care of, or if you just want to speed up on the highway. We don't condone speeding on this channel. Drive responsibly, guys. But overall, I quite like the way that this car feels. One thing I do appreciate is that when you're in here, it is a relatively easy car to drive. The steering is nice and well weighted. It isn't fatiguing or heavy in what you'd find in other sports cars, but it's heavy enough for you to get some feedback. Now, this is not a performance car, so I don't expect you to be looking for extreme driver feedback when driving something like this, but what I have found is that it is quite a comfortable drive to have. You get a bunch of information here in the center console, from your temperature to your range, but also you get a speed limit warning. It has an integration with the nation's speed limits and basically is able to pick up what your speed limit should be depending on where it is you're driving. And if you are over the speed limit, it gives you a gentle flash to let you know that you need to slow down. One cool thing that I do quite like though is that if you press the hazards button over here, it uses all the interior ambient lighting that's available in the car to sort of illuminate on and off. Not sure how that's useful to the people that would actually need to see your hazards, but if you're on the inside and you do see this, it does look quite cool. With that said, you can change the interior ambient lighting to a wide range of colors, from your cyans to your blues to this red that we've got going on over here. The Harman Kardon sound system is quite good, and you also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you do get a very flexible music selection option over there. But I'm quite impressed. I do want to touch on a really cool feature that I found in this car. Yes, it's not exclusive to the BMW X3, but it's something I appreciate nonetheless. This car has active lane keep assist. Effectively, it's able to read the markings on the road, and it uses those markings on the road to either tighten the steering wheel to the left or to the right to make sure that you're in between the lines. I found that in other cars like the next gen Ranger, which I've had the privilege of putting thousands of kilometers on, it is significantly more aggressive on there than it is on here. So this is more like a gentle tug. It just lets you know that, hey, listen, you're veering, come back in, don't go too far out, which is quite nice. But with that said, I can say that you do get a comfortable drive. It does feel luxurious to the touch. There is a great infotainment system. It's quite feature rich in its driver's assistance packages and its connectivity as well, because you do also have the option to stream your favorite songs as well as videos from your favorite platforms. But it begs the question, is this a 1.1, nearly 1.2 million rand car, depending on the spec that you get? And I'm willing to argue that it is. So I think cars are so feature rich at the current moment that we tend to miss the value that they're able to provide us because we're expecting so much out of them in any case. So whenever a manufacturer gives us a new iteration of a vehicle, we tend to think to ourselves, geez, what's new in this one? What's the point of picking it up? But I'm willing to argue that if you were to spend some time in this car, I don't think you'd walk out feeling like you're short-handed or that you're missing anything in that sort. Overall, I think BMW did a great job of providing us a compact luxury mid-range SUV that has all the features you would need in your day-to-day driving, as well as the nice to haves that make it a comfortable place to be. I would like to hear what you guys think in the comment section. But before we close off, I would like to thank our sponsors for today's video. CarShareNova is an online marketplace where you can go and rent out some very exciting cars like the one that we have rented today. You don't rent from a corporation. These cars are listed by private individuals. And thank you so much to Temba, the person who rented this vehicle out to us today. We really appreciate it and we took great care of it, I promise you. If you guys are interested in picking up a car from CarShareNova, visit them. They're very seamless, super easy to use. Once you're registered and vetted, you can rent a car in under a minute. Way to disrupt the automotive industry, guys. Absolutely huge fans of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Cheers, guys. I'm Bongani and this is SantefireMotoring.